I never thought my marriage would end with a vacation. But there I was, 58 years old, standing at the door of a beach house with 3 of Robert's closest friends, wondering how my life had taken such an unexpected turn. Robert and I had been married for 32 years. Good years, mostly. We'd raised 2 wonderful children, built a comfortable life, and settled into that familiar rhythm that long marriages fall into. But somewhere along the way, we'd stopped really seeing each other. We'd become roommates who shared memories instead of dreams. When Robert suggested I take a week at his family's beach house with his friends Tom, Patricia, and Linda, I thought it was strange. These were his friends from college, people I'd known for decades but never spent much time with alone. But Robert insisted. He said I needed a break, that I'd been working too hard at the library, that the ocean air would do me good. I didn't know then that he was trying to give me something precious, a soft landing. The beach house sat right on the Carolina shore, weathered blue shutters and a wide porch that wrapped around 3 sides. Tom carried my bags inside while Patricia and Linda showed me to my room. It had windows on 2 walls, both facing the ocean, and the sound of the waves was like a lullaby. That first evening, we sat on the porch as the sun melted into the water, painting everything gold and orange and pink. Linda poured sweet tea into tall glasses, the ice clinking softly. Patricia had made her famous peach cobbler. Still warm from the oven, Robart told us, Tom said quietly, and I felt my chest tighten. I looked out at the waves, not trusting my voice. He said you both decided it was time, Patricia added, her voice gentle. That you'd grown apart? It was true, though hearing it out loud made it feel more real. Robert had met someone at his office. Nothing had happened, he'd assured me, but the feelings were there. And when we talked, really talked for the first time in years, we'd both admitted we'd been lonely for a long time. Feel like I've failed, I whispered. Oh, honey, Linda said, moving her chair closer to mine. Sometimes love means letting go. That doesn't make the love you had any less real. Over the next few days, something unexpected happened. I started to heal. Tom took me fishing at dawn, teaching me to cast into the surf. We didn't talk much, just stood side by side as the sun came up. And somehow that silence was comforting. He told me about his own divorce 20 years ago. How he'd thought his life was over. But it had just been beginning. Patricia and I walked the beach every afternoon collecting shells and sea glass. She'd been widowed 5 years ago, and she talked about grief and loss and learning to be whole again on your own. You're not half of something now, she said. You're complete. You always were. Sometimes we just forget. Linda taught me to cook the way she did, with intuition instead of recipes. We'd stand in that sunny kitchen, windows open to the salt air, and she'd tell me about her 40-year marriage to her wife. How they'd weathered storms by choosing each other every single day, even when it was hard. But mostly they just let me be. They let me cry when I needed to. They let me laugh when something struck me funny. They didn't try to fix me or rush me or tell me everything would be okay. They just sat with me in whatever I was feeling. One morning I woke up early and walked down to the beach alone. The sun wasn't up yet, and the world was that soft gray color that comes before dawn. I sat in the sand and watched the waves roll in, steady and eternal. And I thought about all the years with Robert, the good ones and the hard ones, the moments of joy and the long stretches of ordinary days, our children's births and their graduations, the house we'd made a home, the love we'd shared even if it had changed shape over time. And I realized something. This wasn't a failure. It was just life, with all its complications and changes and unexpected turns. We'd loved each other the best we knew how. And now we were loving each other enough to let go. On the last night, we all sat on the porch again. The stars were scattered across the sky like diamonds on velvet, and the waves whispered their endless song. I drank their milk, I said suddenly, and they all looked at me, confused. Then I started laughing, really laughing for the first time in months. My grandmother used to say that about good friends, that they nourished you when you didn't even know you were starving. I drank your milk this week. Linda smiled, her eyes shining in the porch light. And we drank yours, Eleanor. That's how it works. This was the best vacation of my life, I said, and I meant it. Not because anything exciting had happened. Not because I'd been distracted or entertained. But because these three people had given me something I didn't know I needed. They'd shown me that endings could be gentle. That change didn't have to break you. That you could be loved even when you felt most unlovable. Tom raised his glass of sweet tea. To Eleanor, and 2 new beginnings. We clinked our glasses together, and I felt something shift inside me. Not happiness, exactly. Not yet, but something like hope. Something like peace. When I got home, Robert and I sat at our kitchen table and talked about the logistics of separation. It was sad, but it wasn't cruel. We were kind to each other in a way we hadn't been in years, and I carried that week at the beach house with me like a gift. The memory of salt air and sweet tea, of gentle voices and patient hearts, of 3 people who had loved me through a transformation I didn't know I was ready for. Sometimes, the kindest thing we can do is just be present for someone. Not to fix them or change them or make their pain go away. Just to sit with them and say, without words, you're not alone. That's what Tom and Patricia and Linda did for me. And somewhere in that week by the sea, it's between the sunrise fishing trips and the afternoon walks and the evening conversations, I remembered who I was. Not Robert's wife. Not the children's mother. Just Eleanor. 58 years old and starting over. And that was enough. That was everything. The waves keep rolling in, I learned. The sun keeps rising. And we keep going, held up by the people who love us, nourished by their kindness, grateful for every drop.